Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you the difference between an 18 gauge air nailer using this Porter cable with my 6-gallon pancake compressor and compare that to a recent tool purchase. So this is the 18 volt Ryobi P320 18 gauge brad nailer. So both are 18 gauge brad nailers that can accept brad nails from 5/8 of an inch all the way up to 2 inches. And for me, the reason why I bought the Ryobi was I got a little tired of lugging around the pancake compressor. I've been doing quite a few trim jobs in the house, and while it does work pretty well and the tool itself is pretty manageable, I do get a decent amount of jamming with it, and lugging this around is just really not that fun, especially when I do use it pretty heavily in the shop for keeping things clean. So yeah, we had a great deal here in Canada where we could buy the bare tool and it came with a free battery kit. So it came with a 2 amp hour 18 volt battery as well as a charger. And I think I paid around $190 Canadian for that kit. And compared to other battery powered air nailers, the Ryobi is really a great deal as far as price. So I was looking at the DeWalt 20 volt for a while because most of my battery tools are DeWalt 20 volt, but at $350 to $400 Canadian, definitely outside of my budget. But yeah, so I've got a couple of tests set up. So we're gonna be testing on some scrap plywood and 2x4s in a couple of situations. We'll be using 1 1/4 inch brad nails for the first test, and we'll fire a few. Then we'll be using 2-inch brad nails for the other test and firing some of those. This is not meant to be a long-term use or construction grade comparison. This is merely for those that are doing trim work in their house or firing 80 to 100 brads every once in a while. So take that for what it is. But the models again, so the Ryobi is the P320 and the Porter cable is the BN200SB. I'll put links in the product description below. I believe that the bare tool for the Ryobi can be found for around $100 US quite often, both on Amazon and Home Depot. And in Canada, at just under $200 with the battery kit, but it goes on sale, I think, for $129 a lot too. So if you're already in the Ryobi battery system, this could be a great purchase. So anyways, let's get to the test and see how they compare. Okay, so to get started, we're gonna load up some 1 1/4 inch brads. So I'm using Porter cable brads and just using a couple of short sleeves of these. And one thing that I do really like about the Porter cable tool is just how light, mostly made out of metal, really easy to just slide this off, slide in your brads, close it. Really satisfying mechanism there. So pretty easy to load. The Ryobi, on the other hand, so it's a lot of plastic, even including right here. So I'm not a huge fan of that. But again, given the price and kind of that DIY focus, I feel like hopefully it holds up. I'm not too heavy on my nailers, so I'm not going to be taking this and putting it through too much hardship. So anyways, not too bad to open and close it up. And so there we go. So we got the brads loaded, and yeah, so let's get to the first test. And that is going to be using the 1 1/4 inch in this situation. So we've got 5/8 inch plywood. So I think that this is ACX ply, so nothing too fancy. And we're just gonna be going into a 2x4. I know that you'd be using drywall and trim and that sort of thing, but this is just a good proxy for that test. And I do have my compressor set to 90 PSI, between 90 and 100 PSI. And just looking at the nailer, between 70 and 100 is recommended. So I think we're pretty good there. So let's get the air nailer hooked up. And one thing I always do when I'm working with these tools is I am going to put on my safety glasses. Okay, safety glasses on. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pop probably 10 or so brads, just enough so that we can get a decent comparison. I'm not going for speed. Again, I'm kind of taking a usual DIY/woodworker approach to this, not a construction type focus. So I'm not gonna be going for any sort of speed, but really satisfying sound. And if you do want to go for speed, I suppose that you could pretty well with this. I did lose the end rubber tip for this, which can protect the workpiece. So yeah, anyways, not a huge deal given that most things that I do paint over. Anyways, got our grouping there. And these are set to go in pretty deep. I'm not too worried about comparing the depths because both of these tools have different depth settings to to change how far you want it to go in. So now we're going to put the battery into the Ryobi. And we're gonna fire away with it. So again, very similar mechanism. It does have a light on board, which is nice. Much heavier, but very comfortable. And I think that that's one of the biggest things. I'm just leaving these on because I just want to put it through its paces just before seeing if I'm fully on board with this or if it needs to be returned. But anyway, so far I've been happy, but let's give it a shot. So that's interesting. I don't know what that's about. No nails in there. And the battery is 3/4 charged. I've only used this to fire a couple of nails before. Oh. Okay. Well, that's frustrating. Okay, let's take out the battery. Let's just do a couple of adjustments. So I do want these to go a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to adjust that. There is an adjustment here. Not sure if it'll show up, but where you can basically change it from single fire to multi-fire, which I'm not sure if that just means that you can hold down the trigger and just keep going like that, but yeah, let's try it again. I don't know what that cycling is. If it's trying to suck in air. Okay, I'm gonna have to investigate this. I'm gonna charge the battery as well, but to me, 3/4 should be plenty strong to drive these brads. Okay, so I've been reading the manual, which isn't all that great. And nothing specifically about this issue or kind of not really doing anything. So the amount of air pressure, so we can adjust the air pressure using the dial in the back, but I'm shooting 1 1/4 inch brads. I'm not doing anything too intense. And let's see. Okay, so that one fired. That one didn't. That one didn't. Okay, let's remove the battery. Change to multi, which I did confirm in the manual just allows you to hold down the trigger and basically fire on contact. Okay. So I mean, as far as kind of first impressions, not good. Let's adjust this to the max. Oh, let's adjust it to the min. Okay, so it's working much better now. Let's change it to the multi. So that's where it's just firing on contact. So basically I was holding down the trigger, and then as soon as I depress that mechanism, it fires, which is quite nice. And let's take a look at these. Not bad. The depth is a little inconsistent, so there's probably one that I actually have to punch in. The rest are all pretty good, but yeah, a little less consistent. And I'm definitely not happy with the reliability on that, but it did seem to come around nicely. So anyways, let's check the 2-inch brads. I'm gonna take the battery out and we're gonna swap these over to 2-inch brads. Okay, so I confirmed that the compressor is still in good shape. Let's just start with good old reliable air first. Okay. So fired a lot more than I had planned on that one. So now we're going to try the Ryobi, and we have it on multi right now. So we also have this dialed down. So let's see how it works with 2 inches. Oh. It's jammed in there. Oh. Okay, let's dial up to neutral. So this was the original position that it was in, because that may have been the issue with those ones. Okay, let's dial it up. Okay, so that got a lot better. And I didn't adjust the depth on any of these, but let's take the battery out. Let's just take a bit of a close-up. So again, the air. So other than the marks, which again, just because I don't have the protector on there, but very, very consistent depth, nothing above. And over on the battery, ignore these ones. So we had these 2 issues, which would have been seen on video. But beyond that, when it did start working, some of them are a little proud. So just not as reliable. And again, I probably could dial that in to go a bit deeper than these. Having to adjust this with a manual that doesn't say what, like, why you should adjust it, like whether it's based on the size of the nail or the depth that you want, which there is the dial for depth. So there's no instruction on why you should be dialing this or how, other than just that you can. And the Porter cable does have that dial as well, which I haven't touched for either the 1 1/4 inch or the 2 inch. So yeah, it disappointing, I think, to say not necessarily the least. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but the air for both of these, extremely consistent, both with depth, the speed, the ability to handle the gun, was all fantastic. The battery, you're giving up a little bit of that, of how light it is. You're giving up some of the consistency in kind of what it looks like afterwards. Some of the depths are a little different, even though the depth setting was the same for all these. And then on the 2 inch, all over the place. So some of these misfires, again, whether that had to do with the air that it was sucking in, or the air pressure it was using, just not as reliable. And yeah, I mean, definitely a little disappointed. But anyways, I'll give you my final thoughts in just a moment. Okay, so I think the test really kind of shows you the struggle with these. And for me, I really, really wanted to love this tool. I was going to give up the lightness and the build quality of the air nailer because of the heft of the compressor that I had to carry around with it, for a bit of the heft of this tool and it being a little more unwieldy, but for me, not generally firing more than a couple hundred brad nails in a session, I was definitely willing to give that up, as well as some of the build quality concerns with this nailer. So I'm disappointed. And I know that I shouldn't have been expecting the world out of Ryobi, but the consistency, the reliability, the amount of times it didn't fire, the couple of misfires on the 2-inch, I think probably was based on the setting on the back. I do like the features of it. I don't mind that it's a bit slower. The price and the deal with the battery and charger was really quite solid, and I haven't done this in a long time, but I think I'm going to have to return this. And I think I'll probably stick with this nailer for now, while also planning to get the DeWalt 20-volt nailer at some point. The reviews on it are fantastic, and I know that it's built to be a little more robust, both from a build quality perspective and reliability in the firing mechanism. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, this wasn't meant to be a shootout. It was meant to be merely an entertainment fueled video where I was hoping that they would be pretty close in reliability. And even if this was a little off, I was still going to both recommend it to viewers of this video and keep it and use it all the time. But honestly, the results speak for themselves. So it's too bad that I'm gonna have to return this, but I guess that's how it goes sometimes. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment below about tools like this that you had higher expectations of. Again, not necessarily based on a price point, but based on just kind of what you thought of it when you purchased it. So let us know in the comments below, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.